was beautiful. But
Yeah.
Is that Serena?
Yes.
Yeah, I just
Full of big bushes. They're
Me
like
too.
so out of control. I do. I come back every year and they're taking over.
I just texted my dear friend to say I've discovered I just cut them and put them in vases. I have my new house in Plymouth. It's overflowing. Bushes that color. I'm thrilled. It looks great.
Yeah, no, you can cut them.
Yeah, cut it back. Yeah, last year cut it back. No, but the flowers so pretty. Cave into the pressure.
You cave into the pressure, the peer pressure. I think you will be tone chiming, I think, during the time. So
Yeah, okay, we'll do that.
that's just as well.
Good to go.
Good morning. My name is Victoria Leonard, and I am your lay worship leader for today's service. I warmly welcome you to the First Parish Unitarian Universalist Church in Bridgewater. I've been a member here for about a year and a half, and I serve on the worship committee, I sing in the choir, and I play in the Tone Chimes choir. What I love about First Parish is that we get to mark the beginning and the end of our church year with joyful rituals where we all get to come together and share flowers from our backyard / market basket and, have a nice, warm, welcoming service to punctuate the end of our church year. Before we begin our time of worship, we do have a few announcements. I would like to invite Kat up here for her announcement.
Good morning, everyone. Speaking of rituals that we love, today is the second annual Seat at the Table auction. It'll be at noon here in the sanctuary, and we already have some items available on display. There's some peanut butter chocolate covered something that looks delicious. So I hope to see you all there. Thanks.
Angela, you want to come forward for your announcement? Thank you.
Good morning. So another ritual that is coming up is July 4th, just 2 weeks from next Friday. So First Parish will have our annual fundraiser that day in front of the church on School Street, starting at 10 a.m., and it really gets going after the parade ends around 10:45. We will have our usual lemonade stand, food stand, and Jan Thompson's famous strawberry shortcake. Thanks to everyone who has already signed up to help out with the event. We need help in lots of areas, including sandwich making, working the grill, which is going to be hot dogs only, setting up and taking down tents and tables and chairs. We need runners and order takers and cashiers. So I have about 17 people actually already signed up, so that's awesome, but we still need more help. So please see me during coffee hour to sign up to help out with the event. And I will also be sending out a confirmation email. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning. And you've already heard about our Juneteenth celebration on June 21st, Saturday, on the BSU East Campus, University Park. We're going to have our own church table. We have a lot of volunteers for that already, but I'm going to need help in particular with setting up the canopies and taking down the canopies at the end. Just a couple of strong people. We already have people coming, bringing the supplies, but I think we could use more help with setting up. So if there's anybody after our service today, you can come and talk to me. Thank you very much.
First Parish Bridgewater is a welcoming congregation. We proudly fly the rainbow flag to symbolize our welcome to people of all identities, ages, and backgrounds. If you are new to First Parish, we hope you enjoy your experience here this morning. We encourage you to fill out the guest book on the table at the rear of the sanctuary, making sure to include your email address to receive church updates. For newcomers joining online, please see the sign-up link posted in the chat. We invite all who are here in person to join us after the service for a time of fellowship in the Upper Parish Hall. This service is being hosted via Zoom. Hello, friends on Zoom. Welcome. We're glad you're here. It is being recorded for Bridgewater Cable TV and for YouTube. You can find the link to the YouTube video in the weekly bridging. The recording camera is turned off to protect your privacy during the sharing of joys and sorrows. In the event of an emergency or evacuation drill, please leave the building through the main sanctuary doors, or should you need a ramp, through the School Street entrance to my left. You are welcome here. Thank you for joining us. Your presence makes a difference. If you have brought a flower today for our flower communion ritual and have not yet placed it in the vases on the altar, you can come forward now and during the prelude to place your flower in the altar. If you would like someone to come collect your flower from you, raise your hand and an usher will come and collect your flower from you. We will now begin our time of worship with the prelude. Beth, could I ask you to come light the chalice? Surprise! I didn't ask you beforehand. Please join me in reciting our chalice lighting words.
We light our chalice to mark this sacred hour as we gather in this beautiful historic sanctuary, both in body and spirit. We connect to the many generations that have come here to explore the divine. Let us join our hearts and find the holy in our relationship with each other. It is time to share worship together.
Please rise in body or spirit, and let us join our voices for the affirmation of our covenant.
Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its gift. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to speak the truth in love, and to help one another.
Good morning, everyone. It is so good to be together for our annual flower communion ritual. Our opening words today are by Thomas Rhodes, and they're called "All of Us Are Beautiful." We come in a variety of colors, shapes, and sizes. Some of us grow in bunches, some of us grow alone. Some of us are cupped inward, and some of us spread ourselves out wide. Some of us are old and dried and tougher than we appear. Some of us are still in bud. Some of us grow low to the ground, and some of us stretch toward the sun. Some of us feel like weeds, sometimes. Some of us carry seeds, sometimes. Some of us are prickly, sometimes. Some of us smell. And all of us are beautiful. What a bouquet of people we are. Please rise and join me in singing our opening hymn, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In. It's number 361 in your hymnal, and we'll sing all the verses. Today we have a story for all ages to ground our service. It's called Miss Rumphius, the Lupin Lady by Barbara Cooney, and I'll just be reading the words and you can imagine the pictures. The Lupin Lady lives in a small house overlooking the sea. In between the rocks around her house grow blue and purple and rose-colored flowers. The Lupin Lady is little and old, but she has not always been that way. I know. She is my great aunt, and she told me so. Once upon a time, she was a little girl named Alice who lived in a city by the sea. From the front stoop, she could see the wharves and the brindling masts of tall ships. Many years ago, her grandfather had come to America on a large sailing ship. Now he worked in the shop at the bottom of the house, making figureheads for the prows of ships and carvings out of wood to put in front of cigar stores. For Alice's grandfather was an artist. He painted pictures, too, of sailing ships and places across the sea. And when he was very busy, Alice helped him paint in the skies. In the evenings, Alice sat on her grandfather's knee and listened to his stories of faraway places. And when he had finished, Alice would say, "When I grow up, I too will go to faraway places. And when I grow old, I too will live by the sea." "That is all very well, little Alice," said her grandfather, "but there is a third thing you must do." "What is that?" asked Alice. "You must do something to make the world more beautiful," said her grandfather. "All right," said Alice, but she did not know what that could be. In the meantime, Alice got up and washed her face, and she ate porridge for breakfast. She went to school and came home and did her homework, and pretty soon she was all grown up. And then my great Aunt Alice set out to do the 3 things she had told her grandfather she was going to do. She left home and went to live in another city, far from the sea and the salt air. Then she worked in a library, dusting books and keeping them from getting mixed up, and helping people find the ones they wanted. And some of the books told her about far-away places. People called her Miss Rumphius now. Sometimes she went to the conservatory in the middle of the park. When she stepped inside on a wintry day, the warm, moist air wrapped itself around her, and the sweet smell of jasmine filled her nose. "This is almost like a tropical isle," said Miss Rumphius, "but not quite." So she went to a real tropical island, where people kept cockatoos and monkeys as pets. She walked on long beaches, picking up beautiful shells. Then my great aunt, Miss Alice, climbed fall mountains where the snow never melted. She went through jungles and across deserts. She saw lions playing and kangaroos jumping. And everywhere she made friends she would never forget. Finally, she came to the land of the lotus eaters, and there, getting off a camel, she hurt her back. "What a foolish thing to do," said Miss Rumphius. "Well, I have certainly seen faraway places. Maybe it's time to find my place by the sea." And it was, and she did. From the porch of her new house, Miss Rumphius watched the sun come up. She watched it cross the heavens and sparkle on the water, and she saw it set in glory in the evening. She started a little garden among the rocks that surrounded her house, and she planted a few flower seeds in the stony ground. Miss Rumphius was almost perfectly happy. "But there is still one more thing I have to do," she said. "I have to do something to make the world more beautiful." "But what?" "The world is already pretty nice," she thought, overlooking the ocean. The next spring, Miss Rumphius was not very well. Her back was bothering her again, and she had to stay in bed most of the time. But the flowers she had planted the summer before had come up and bloomed in spite of the stony ground. She could see them from her bedroom window, blue and purple and rose-colored. "Lupins," said Miss Rumphius with satisfaction. "I have always loved lupins the best, and I wish I could plant more seeds this summer so that I could still have more flowers next year." But she was not able to. After a hard winter and spring came, Miss Rumphius was feeling much better. Now she could take walks again, and one afternoon she started to go up and over the hill, where she had not been in a long time. "I do not believe my eyes," she cried when she got to the top, for there, on the other side of the hill, was a large patch of blue and purple and rose-colored lupins. "It was the wind," she said as she knelt in delight. "It was the wind that brought the seeds from my garden here, and the birds must have helped." Then she had a wonderful idea. She hurried home and got out her seed catalogs. She sent off for the very best seed for 5 bushels of lupin. All that summer, Miss Rumphius, her pockets full of seeds, wandered over fields and headlands, sowing lupins. She scattered seeds along the highways and down the country lanes. She flung handfuls of them around the schoolhouse and back of the church. She tossed them into hollows and along stone walls, and her back didn't hurt her any more at all. Now, some people called her that crazy old lady. But the next spring, there were lupins everywhere. Fields and hillsides were covered with blue and purple and rose-colored flowers. They bloomed along the highways and down the lanes. Bright patches lay around the schoolhouse and back of the church. Down in the hollows and along the stone walls grew the beautiful flowers. Miss Rumphius had done the third, the very most difficult thing of all. My great-aunt, Alice, Miss Rumphius, is very old now. Her hair is very white, but every year there are more and more lupins. Now they call her the Lupin Lady. Sometimes my friends stand with me outside her gate, curious to see the old lady who planted the fields of lupins. When she invites us, they come slowly. They think she is the oldest woman in the world. Often she tells us stories of faraway places. When I grow up, I tell her, I too will go to faraway places and come home to live by the sea. That is all very well, little Alice, says my aunt, but there is a third thing you must do. What is that? I ask. You must do something to make the world more beautiful. All right, I say, but I do not yet know what that can be.
Thank you. One of my favorites. Now is the time in our service for the sharing of joys and sorrows, those matters of great personal significance that touch us, our families, and our loved ones. If you have a joy or a sorrow, please come to the front to light a candle. If you would like to speak, please keep your sharing brief so that the ritual can move smoothly. You may also choose to light your candle in silence. Online participants are invited to share by typing your joys and sorrows into the chat. A volunteer in the sanctuary will read them aloud.
Spirit of life and love, help us be present to one another in our joy and in our sorrow. Help us be present to the sorrows in the world and the joys too. Today we honor Father's Day in appreciation for all those who have nurtured, who have given strength to their children, and who provide a home and a place to land to those they love. We recognize those who wished to be fathers and could not, those who have lost their fathers, and those who have complicated relationships with their parents or their children. What you bring is welcome here, too. This week, we pray in gratitude for the peaceful demonstrations around our country yesterday. May all those who give voice to justice be safe, be heard, and be held. Spirit of life, please protect our elected leaders from violence. Let us honor those Michigan lawmakers, Minnesota lawmakers who stood up for their beliefs and who paid a really hard price that no one should have to. And let's honor those who continue speaking truth to power and pray for an end to the pandemic of gun violence in our country. Spirit of life and love, help us to enjoy the summer, to make space for rest, to make space for family and community and love to permeate our lives, all of us. Let's hold this love in a moment of silence. Please stay seated and join me in singing our musical meditation number 77, Seek Not Afar for Beauty. This is a new one for us, so Denise will play it first all the way through, and then we'll join in singing.
Each Sunday, we collect an offering to support the ministries of the church and the mission of a community organization that shares our faith values. This month, contributions to our collection plate are being shared with Trust, Trans-Religious Professional UUs Together. Your support helps Trust in their work to support trans UU professionals and provide pastoral care during particularly challenging times for trans folks. You may also donate online through the First Parish Church website. This morning's offering will now be given and gratefully received.
Our reading today comes from Lynn Unger, a Unitarian Universalist minister and poet. Life, the saying goes, is a journey, and who could argue with that? We've all experienced the surprising turns, the nearly impassable swamp, the meadow of flowers that turned out not to be quite so blissful and benign as we thought. The crest of the hill where the road smoothed out and sloped toward home. Our job, we say, is to remain faithful to the path before us, which is an assumption that's as common as it is absurd. Really? Look ahead. What do you see? If there is a path marked out in front of you, it was almost certainly laid down for someone else. The path only unfolds before us, and our steps themselves laying down the road. You can look back and see the signposts, the ones you followed and the ones you missed, but there are no markers for what lies ahead. You can tell the story of how you forded the stream or got lost on the shortcut that wasn't one, how you trekked your way to courage or a heart, but all of that comes after the fact. There is no road ahead. There is only the walking, the tales we weave of our adventures, and the songs we sing to call our companions on. We'll now have our choir from the choir loft sing to us our anthem today, One Voice, by Ruth Moody of the Waylon Jennies.
One spirit, one voice, the sound of one who makes a choice. This is the sound of one voice. This is the sound of one voice. This is the sound of voices two. The sound of the
Thank you, choir. What a treat. Okay, it is almost time for the ritual of our flower communion ceremony. And in a moment, not yet, I will invite you to come forward to participate. Here is the first thing to know. Please line up when I say so along the sides of the sanctuary. Let's point to the sides. Yep, not the middle. Okay. Denise will play marching music for us during this ritual. And here is something a little different. We are going to offer one another flowers this year, okay? So there's a couple logistics to keep in mind. When you reach the front of the line, you will already have a flower. And instead of taking a flower for yourself, you will select one for the person right behind you in line. I'll say it another way. When you reach the front, you will have been gifted a flower just then by the person in front of you. You keep that one, and then you choose one for the next person. We've got this. Once you have been given a flower, and then you have gifted one, please return to your seat through the center aisle. Victoria and I will be here to assist, don't worry. Please form those two lines around the sides of the sanctuary and let us begin. All right. Now we're going to bless these flowers we have given to one another. I think you all did excellent. And I'm very happy with the flowers I received. So I'll say a phrase, and then we'll say together, "May our lives bloom like the flowers." Can we try that together? May our lives bloom like the flowers. Each of us is a flower with a delicate beauty uniquely our own. We may be like sunflowers turning always toward the light. May our lives bloom like the flowers. We may be like a night-blooming crocus, only displaying our fragrant petals when it is dark and we think no one can see. May our lives bloom like the flowers. We may be hothouse flowers, far from our native lands, cautiously tended within a harsh and unfamiliar climate. May our lives bloom like the flowers. We may be gray-headed like dandelions, eager to launch the new generation with the first strong gust of wind, past our own bright youth, but ready to pass our wisdom on in precious, gossamer-carried seeds. May our lives bloom like the flowers. Some of us sometimes spring up overnight and fade in the hot glare. May our lives bloom like the flowers. Sometimes we are roadside weeds, loveliness bursting improbably from the dust and debris. May our lives bloom like the flowers. May we offer our beauty and simplicity like flowers, expecting no recognition, hoping for nothing, giving out of what we are, knowing that it is enough. May our lives bloom like the flowers. Amen. The first flower ceremony was held in Prague on June 24th, 1923, led by Reverend Norbert Čopek. In his time, he joined a Unitarian church in New Jersey in 1921. He joined for his children's religious education program, which I think is fun. And then World War I ended, and his home country of Czechoslovakia was now independent, so he and his wife Maya returned there. He founded a Unitarian church of his own in Prague, the Prague Liberal Religious Fellowship, and in just 20 years, his church had 3,200 members. Woo. The traditional Christian communion service of bread and wine didn't really meet the needs of his congregation because his church, like our own, had people who believed different things. And so Čopek turned to the beauty of the countryside, the beauty of the flowers. And in 1923, he developed the flower ceremony. He asked each of his congregants to bring a flower to church. He invited each person to place their flower in a vase. And then there was the church community together, no less unique for being united. In this congregation here today, over 100 years later, we talk a lot about how we need each of our time, our talent, and our treasure to sustain our community. This is true, and it's true outside these walls as well. We need one another to show up to protests, to gift one another the flowers we have grown, to move in solidarity, to bring one another meals and go for walks together and to sit and to talk, to demand policy changes, to donate to mutual aid funds, to bear witness, to acknowledge the everyday, exceptional horrors of this time of rising fascism. And we need one another to love one another fiercely. The world needs each of our gifts, gathered in like a bouquet of flowers, and it also needs our hope. This ritual, to me, is a fundamental act of hope, a celebration of our diversity, and a time to acknowledge and uplift our interdependence. It would not really be an inspiring ceremony without the diversity of flowers we bring, and it would definitely fall a little flat if nobody at all brought flowers. In recognizing this beauty of our collective community, we grow our strength for the work ahead, for each of us, and for all of us. As we heard in our reading, there is no set path ahead of us, no perfect way forward through anything, really. But what we'll do is we'll take faithful risks together, knowing that hope is not really a rational position or understanding, but a manifestation of our belief and our community connection. Norbert Chopek, his church took risks as well. He was taken to a Nazi concentration camp during World War II for speaking out. And even in starvation and torture, he held a flower ceremony with his fellow prisoners. They found whatever flowers they could in the weeds of the camp, and they testified to a beauty larger than themselves and a love that would outlive them. It has outlived them. The Nazis killed Reverend Chopek, but his spirit, his courage, and his commitment live on today, right here. These qualities have passed now to us to make them real. It is not the first or even the second or the third time that inhumane policies have gained global momentum, or that backlash to movements for social and racial justice have entrenched and empowered systemic violence. The messages of fear right now blare loudly from the speakers of our televisions, the radio, the newspaper, and sometimes from the people around us. We must find something else to listen to messages of hope, of solidarity, stories of wins, and our own dreams for adventure and fulfillment, joy and justice. In this beginning of the summer, in earnest, and in this end of our formal church year together, let us reach out to one another in love and solidarity and joy with flowers. What will we love and build and discover, starting here, starting now? How will each of us connect to our human family? Instead, we could think of this as what will we each do to make the world more beautiful? Amen.
I would like to invite you all to join in singing our closing hymn today, which can be found in your gray hymnal. It is song number 318, We Would Be One.
Our hymn of
As we go forth from this place, let us not forget the flowers. Let us not forget the resistors and the troublemakers. Let us remember that we can each do something to make the world more beautiful. Amen.
The time has come for us to extinguish our chalice. Please join me in our chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish this
Flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of fire of commitment, or the glow until we are together again. of worship has ended. Our time for fellowship begins. Please join us in the upper parish hall for a coffee hour and then come right back here for our seat at the table auction. There is no service in person next week. Click the link online in your bridging to join thousands of UUs from across the country for our General Assembly Sunday worship instead. Okay, go in peace.
I just have a quick announcement. There is a tray of perennial chrysanthemum plants from my garden in there that I did for thinnings. Please take some. There's a sheet with a description, and don't be afraid to take more than one. I have more in my car.
Oh no, my flower just rogue on the stairs.